All right. So welcome everybody. Thanks, William, for the great introduction. Today we're going to talk about using relationship management for better results, and just kind of get into the experience of kind of understanding what some business challenges are around relationships and how our solutions might be able to benefit them. So every business has challenges. What kind of top issues do we run into a lot of the time is from a survey that we had commissioned here at Sage. We found that spreadsheets are a common method for people in organizations to do management of contacts, management of sales forecasting, the management of a sales pipeline, in addition to doing budgeting, in addition to keeping up with data that's not related to accounting, but accounting still keeps up with it because it's important to the organization. So spreadsheet is that common tool that everyone seems to be able to use. Today we're going to focus a little bit more on what we can do with relationships and what tools we can use for that piece of the organization. So spreadsheet errors are very common. This really applies to managing data, doing forecasting, doing reporting, doing a budgeting process. 88% of spreadsheets have errors. I just saw in the news last night or the night before that here in Atlanta, we actually had contractors submit bids, and the evaluation process, they use spreadsheets in the Atlanta government. And guess what? Those spreadsheets had material errors that caused millions of dollars of over calculations or under calculations of what the true cost is going to be. So it's a common thing and it happens everywhere. So it's not just, small organizations, it's large organizations, it's government entities. So most manual processes tend to indicate hidden issues. And what that really means is there's this iceberg is just a great example. 75% of the iceberg is actually underwater and you only see the tip of it. And that's really where this tip of the iceberg issue comes in, where when you're talking about processes, where you're talking about managing information and managing data, you're only seeing a few of the errors, but there's actually a lot more issues underneath around these processes that an actual solution might be able to help you with. So starting with a solid foundation is probably the most important thing to consider when you're looking for a solution to help you manage data. And why that's so important is if you're starting with a solid foundation, then you know that that data is accurate. You know that's a starting point. It's not all the data you need, but it's a solid foundation. Typically, accounting people tend to keep their information up to date because it's government regulated. So this really gives us a solid foundation to build relationships on. So what most customers are looking for, such as yourselves, are looking for one view of my data. I want to see accounting information, I want to see customer information, I want to see vendor information, I want to see the data related to these records and relationships I need to manage in my organization. And these are the types of things that we want to talk about. So some of the benefits of having a relationship management tool that's actually integrated is it's more consistent, it's more reliable, the information is accessible across the organization, better relationships with your customers, and we're going to talk about what a customer actually means, so don't tune out just because you think this is sales, because it's not about sales. Sales is certainly a part of it, but it's about a bigger piece of the organization. It's about the entire organization. So reduce data entry. So think about, I've talked to customers who enter one piece of data 7 times in their processes because they have 7 disparate systems versus maybe entering it once, and in some scenarios even entering it 0 times because the data came from another data source. So these are realistic scenarios that customers deal with on a daily basis. So think about someone entering that data 7 times and what the likelihood of errors are of humans making a mistake. Better reporting is also a massive benefit to the solution because now you have one version of the truth and the information coming from one source, and that one source being supplemented by other data sources. So let's talk about some business insights to what is relationship management. Well, I put an X here because I don't want to say customer, but at the heart of relationships, it's really about defining what X actually is. So if you're in marketing, it's a customer. If you're in sales, it's a customer. If you're in customer service, it might be a customer as well. But in financial and operations, it's a vendor, it's a customer, it's your salespeople, it's your customer service people, it's the CFO, it's the controller. We all have customers that we work with in an organization, and some of those customers are external facing and some of them are internal facing. Some of them are vendors, right? These are all examples of where X equals something. So when we talk about X equals something, what does that actually mean to you and your organization? Well, the most classic term that everyone's going to relate to is customer, okay? But what does a customer actually mean? Because when I talk to some companies, a customer is something else. It's not just a customer for the customer of the business that they work in, right? So a customer might be an affiliated doctor. Why is that so important? What does affiliated doctor have to do with a relationship system? It has everything to do with the relationship system, because in my customer scenarios where I've been doing presentations, an affiliated doctor is actually a referral source. They're who recommends your business. In the case I was talking to a customer or a prospect of ours, they need to know who the referral doctor is that's going to recommend them to the hospital that doctor works at. So not only do they need to know the relationship about the doctor, because they're never going to sell that doctor anything that they service or provide, any equipment. But that doctor is going to be the one that says, we need this equipment at your hospital, because that doctor works at a hospital and does his or her rounds at that hospital. So what did we need to track? We actually needed to track the doctors related to the hospital. We needed to relate them to being a referral source. We needed to know which hospitals they worked at. We needed to know what practices they are affiliated with. And we had to have all of this information in one place, so that when a representative of this company went and talked to the hospital, they could say, well, this doctor XYZ at this practice referred us to you guys, right? And that's how they get their businesses, through referrals, and be able to have a tool that made them be able to manage that and centralize that. Because think about it, a doctor may do rounds at multiple hospitals, right? But they have only one practice. Then they may be referring different products that may be related to other opportunities. All of that information was important information that we needed to keep up with, but they were doing that in Excel. So a tool that can help you with that is a good example of what we're talking about here. Another example, and you're going, trips, how can that be a customer? Well, it's the data that someone needed to keep up with, right? And so you go, trips, well, it's a shipping company that drives high-end cars around the world, around North America, right? And what they actually do is they have to schedule a trip, okay? Then when they schedule a trip, they have to know who the driver is going to be on that trip. Then they have to define what the route is that driver is going to drive. Why do they need to know that? Because then they need to know what vehicles they're going to be picking up. And you're going, wow, that's a lot. But that all can be tracked and managed through our relationship management tool. In this example here, we actually have the customer as well. That's going to be the person that owns the vehicle. We already have the customer, so I don't need to add that. But we added vehicles, we added routes, we added drivers, we added trips. We added all of these pieces into our relationship management tool that gave us the ability for this customer to track all of this data. So a simple example, Jay Leno, everyone knows he collects cars. Well, he's a customer of theirs, okay? So when he wants a car shipped, he calls them. I need this car shipped. And we have to go look at the routes, figure out where there's going to be a route that's going to be going near him to go pick up his car, and then figure out where that car needs to go, because maybe we need to transfer that car to another truck at another destination along another route to take it to where it needs to go. And the only way to do that is to be able to keep up with the cars and the routes and their destinations. And they didn't have a good tool to do this. This is all being done in Excel spreadsheets and Word documents, and it was very confusing for them. This relationship management tool we're talking about gives you that ability to do that. Another simple example, more along the lines, we kind of went out a little bit, talked about customers, then we talked about how affiliated doctors, and now we're talking about trips and vehicles, but let's bring it back a little bit and talk about it from the perspective of something in accounting. Vendors. We all have vendors we work with. From an accounting AP clerk's perspective or a controller's perspective, right? They work with vendors. Vendors are who you buy your goods from, your supplies from. You need to manage that relationship. A lot of customers actually, a lot of our customers, a lot of our companies that own our software actually manage those relationships. They actually have what's called a vendor vetting process. This vendor has to be approved. They have to go through a process. Anytime I hear the words process and data, I think of our relationship management tool. Why? Because I can actually build that process for vetting a vendor in our relationship management tool and then push them to our accounting system, Sage 300 Cloud or Sage 300 or ACPAC, depending on what name you know it as, and be able to have access to that information in the accounting system and then be able to push them from the relationship tool to the accounting system. Because let's be honest, when does the data first exist in the organization? Well, it doesn't exist in accounting until there's an accounting transaction. But it could exist in the organization for months, weeks, if not years, before it ever hits accounting because someone needs to build a relationship. Someone needs to vet that vendor. Someone needs to qualify that customer. Someone needs to qualify that prospect. Someone needs to work that lead, right? Where does all that data go? Well, that's the tool we're talking about, is where that data goes. So what we're talking about in this example is vendor relationship management. So let's kind of take a quick sneak peek at what that actually looks like inside of CRM, because we actually have that concept. It's built into the product. So I'm going to come out of the browser here. I'm going to switch over to my image. Okay. And if someone can just let me know they can see my screen, that would be great. Okay. I'm assuming you guys can see this. So what I have here is my Sage CRM application. And remember, don't get concerned with the C word. We're talking about vendor relationship now. But it's browser-based. It's always been browser-based. It's available with the product today. If you have Sage 300, Sage CRM has been available to you for, well, let's say I've been with Sage 15 years. It's been available for 15 years. So if you have Sage 300, you have one user of CRM. So what I'm showing you is what you already own in your organization. So it's your choice to work with Caron and decide when you want to have this product actually installed and have the integration configured, because Sage already gives you this as part of your business care. So what I'm going to do is put in my username and password and log on. So at that point, security comes into play. So the rights I have to see the data I want to see is based on my permissions in the system. Okay, so I can't see data that I don't have access to in the system. So if I come over here to my CRM and dashboard, that gives me my dashboard here. You'll see I don't have any lost opportunities yet, which is good. I haven't won anything either, so that's okay. But we have different dashboards that I have access to in the system that you can easily see and navigate through. Now, from a typical sales perspective, what happens is leads come into the system from different data sources. Okay, so a lead might be from a website, from a form on your website where it says contact us. So if I go to Caron's website, here's their contact us form. Okay, so I actually have that form here inside of my instance for CRM. So this is just a web form that I put underneath CRM. Because CRM is web-based, this form can be put on your website. It can be made to look just like this form here from Caron. Okay, so with that being said, what I can do is come here, I can put in, this is your prospect, someone hitting your website for the first time and you're asking for basic information. Maybe they want a newsletter, maybe they want collateral, maybe they want additional information. Whatever that driver is, you can define these forms to complete that information, and you can define what data is required here. So William and Brothers, LLC, and then William Smith, and then email is william@wbllc.com, and then email address is 1800, or sorry, address, Main Street. So the ones that are required have the asterisk next to them, so if they don't populate that, then that information would be that information would be prompted for in the system. And then a description, this is just need information on Sage CRM. And then what I can do is hit save and submit. And what that's going to do is that's going to submit the record to CRM and redirect them back to a thank you for contacting us page. I have it redirecting to our SageStorm community, just to plug our community site. But you can have this redirect back to, if Karen had this form, they would have thank you for contacting us and keep the person on the website. But I'm just showing you that this is actually something you control is from a usability perspective. So if I go back over here to CRM now, what I can do is I can actually have notifications, I can have escalations, I can have events in the system that tell me a lead has come into the system. So here I have leads that come in. I can monitor for those leads. I can have events that tell me that lead has come in. I can actually go search for that lead. So I can click on lead. I can search by name or description. If I do first name is William and I hit enter, lots of Williams. So last name is Smith. If I hit enter, there's William and Brothers LLC, right? So as soon as William saved that record or submitted that record, it created it in CRM. So now with notifications and matching, I can check for duplicates to say, hey, you know what, this person may already exist in CRM, but the company doesn't. So more than likely, it's probably something different, right? But maybe it's William LLP for a different company, but it's actually the same company. This is just a sister company. You can relate them how you need to in the accounting system. So you have that flexibility. Then you have the ability to go through a qualification process here. So I can rate this lead. I can reassign this lead. Right now, it's not assigned. So I can actually reassign it, and I can assign it to the system admin or Susan May. I can put a tracking note in here. I can save that, and that gives me the ability to have access to that information in the system under my leads as the admin. So if I come over here to my CRM and leads, then there's my William lead, and there's the detail he wanted. He needs information from Sage CRM or on Sage CRM. I can see where it came from, right? I can see it came from the web. These columns can be configured so that you can say, I want to see these columns or not these columns. I can sort by these values in the system. At some point, he's going to promote it to a prospect, so he can actually have opportunities he's going to be working on for that prospect in the system. So we have that whole life cycle of a customer in the system. So if we look at it from this perspective, what we offer out of the box is a lead. Comes in, it's qualified. Once it's qualified, it's promoted to a company as a prospect. Once that prospect record is further qualified and they have interest, you would have a person associated to them. You can then create an opportunity. An opportunity is a potential sale to a customer and or prospect. You can have different processes. So I can have a workflow process for Division 2. I can have a workflow process for Division 3. I've actually added custom entities here of software module. I need to track, Caron is a business partner of Sage's. They need to track what software you own, what license keys you own, what modules you have activated. All of that can be tracked in CRM as well. Maybe I need to schedule an appointment. Maybe I need to schedule a task. All of that information is accessible through CRM and can be viewed through the CRM system. So we certainly do offer that ability as part of the actual accounting, as part of the actual product. All right, so let's go back to our presentation here. So let me maximize this. So talking about vendors a little bit here, if I go over to search for company, I can actually find a customer or a vendor. Now, I'm going to cheat because I know my vendor number is 1200. If you don't know the vendor number, you could type in Chloride Systems. You could type in the company that they're listed under to in your organization. Whatever the values here on the screen that you want to search on, you can search on. You can also add fields and make them more relevant to what your organization needs to search by. So if I go to Chloride Systems, I actually have visibility to this vendor record from my Sage 300 accounting system, my AgPack system. We have visibility to open accounts payable. We have vendor activity. We have the PO module information. We have RMA information. We have job costing information. So if you have Orchid's RMA, that currently has an integration here as well. So all of this data is available for you to have access to in real time against this vendor record. So why is this important? Why do I care that I have access to all this data? Because a lot of customers, such as yourself, might have a vendor that they work with, but their salespeople needs to get in touch with that vendor, right? The salesperson calls the vendor regularly. Hey, do you have this inventory? We have a customer that needs that shipped to them, right? Because we don't. Or we have a purchase manager, and the purchase person needs to go through and manage that relationship, record the communications with them, record the activity with them. We offer that ability as part of the solution. Okay. So going back to the actual presentation here, so integration to Sage 300 is a big driver with the solution as well, right? So we just talked about some of the integration around Sage vendor relationship management, but we also have the customer side as well. So from a customer's perspective, we have orders, invoices, shipments. We have visibility into customer information. We have visibility with reporting. You can have cross-departmental communications, accounting, talking to the customer, sales, talking to the customer, customer service, talking to the customer. We have all of these different parts revolving around that customer record and that vendor record, and we have the ability to manage all of that and have that one view of that customer, because marketing works with them, finance works with them, the owners and management of the company works with them. Bringing these two systems together allow you to have that one view of that customer across the entire organization. I like to say from the receptionist at the front desk all the way to the owner, executive, board of directors can have access to this customer information. You go, well, why would the receptionist need to have information? Because who's the first person they call when they call into the organization? They actually speak to the person at the front desk a lot of the time, right? That person answers the phone. They pull up the customer record and say, hey, yeah, I see you've got an order here. You need to speak to Ron or, William about that order. Yeah, we can transfer you over and give them a warm handoff. Or you're calling about a customer service issue. Oh, I see we have an open case. You're working with Dwayne on that. I can put you in touch with Dwayne right away, right? The more empowered you give your staff, the better the customer experience is and the more consistent answers they get across the organization. Okay, so what are some of the time wasters because of not having a centralized system that come into play? Viewing the customer credit terms, right? It sounds silly, but hey, their terms are 210 net 30. Their credit limit is $30,000, but they have receivables of $40,000. That's why they're on hold, because they haven't paid their bill. Well, now the salesperson has leverage. Why? Because the customer's calling to place another order. Oh, hey, Mr. Customer, yeah, I can take the order, but it's going to be placed on hold because you're on hold in our accounting system. So we need to put you in contact with our accounting person so that we can get your receivables up to date, right? We now have leverage. If you've just taken the order, then you don't have the opportunity to have that conversation because you don't have visibility to that information in a real-time fashion. That's the power of the system. We can also do quotes. We can also check inventory availability. We can also have specific customer pricing from the accounting system visible in the CRM system in real time. You can also do something like a credit application process. I also mentioned a vendor vetting process. So you go, credit application process. Well, think about this. A new prospect like that lead comes in, they get qualified. We now want to say, you want to place an order? Great. We need you to complete this credit application. If you want to have terms with us, right? Where do they get the credit application from? Well, there's a version on their desktop from a salesperson's perspective that's been there for 15 years, but that's not the version accounting wants you to use. Their version is about 2 months old, not 15 years old. So where do they get that from? CRM as part of the process. Why? Because when they go create credit, send credit application, it's actually a part of their visual process flow and would allow them to send that email with the attachment and the body of the email asking them for a financial statement, credit application, please send it to your salesperson, and then the salesperson receives it from Outlook, files it into CRM, and then pushes a button that says notify accounting to review the credit application from this customer. All of that process can be automated and eliminate that manual process of entering that data in the system and gathering it in disparate places through Sage CRM. So this is just a screenshot of some of the pricing information we actually have access to from a customer perspective. So I can actually see from this customer, this is what they purchased from us in the previous time. So we can see that they purchased this item in these periods with these quantities, and I can actually drill into period 1 and see the total sales. I can drill into period 4 and see the total sales and see what orders make up that. I can drill into this specific item and see that item information. So I have all of this in real time. So if an order comes in or an order gets shipped today, then all that information is readily and immediately available on this screen in real time. The second it gets posted, the screen is available. When you click on it, it's as of that second. So really amazing access to information. This is a really nice dashboard that I kind of extended out for the sales KPIs for managers. This just shows you how you have access to sales versus actual. I have my actual sales in a graphical form. I have how my activities doing by salesperson. So who's doing a good job of making their calls or following up on their to-dos, who's got their most work going on in their system. And then a pipeline for the entire organization. Where are my sales at? Where are my leads at? And how can I break that down? You can actually link this pipeline to a list of opportunities and be able to filter that list. So I can click on that qualified and click on the proposal submitted stage, where that's the last point before we close the deal, and be able to focus on those at the end of the month, for example. So this is all a part of the CRM system that you can build and configure yourself. This is another dashboard more from a CEO level, seeing what opportunity value we have in the forecast, what company customer service issues we have, what the big picture of the entire organization is, my important reminders, activity inside of the CRM community, activity inside of the newsletters for CRM. So these are kind of our plugs for our product, but you can see you can make this be what you want it to be from an executive perspective, from a sales perspective, from a customer service perspective. You can tailor these dashboards and define them by role. So let's take a little bit further look into CRM and see what some of the functionality around the accounting looks like. So we were looking at vendors previously. So let's go back here. Okay. So we were looking at vendors. So now let's say I want to go find a customer. So I'll go find company, and I can actually search in that screen, but I cleared the search out. So I could have searched up here for what I'm looking for and would have searched across all of these records, but I like using the find screen, just how I've always done it, but you could use either way. If I know the customer number happens to be 1200 as well, coincidence, there's Ronald Black, my customer that came from the accounting system. Now, if I didn't know his customer number, which is a valid option, maybe I only know the name, I could do %Ron, hit enter, and anywhere that has Ron in it would show up. So I could do more specifically Ronald, and there's Ronald Black in the system. So the % allows me to search for anything in the company name. If I did a keyword search, it would search across all of the fields that I've defined to be searchable and show me any record that has Ronald in any of the fields that I define. So right now I'm just searching on the company name. Because I'm looking for Ronald Black, and this company record here, I would click on Ron, and it takes me in just one click right to Ron's record. Maybe Ron's calling about a customer service issue. I can go to cases. Maybe I just want to look at Ron's record before I actually call him. Maybe I'm going to call into him, and I can see, hey, Ron, I see you have recently called us about this, or we've sent you a quote about this. I see you have several opportunities out in our system active right now. I see you have a customer service issue. So you're not blindsided when you reach out to that customer to ask them for more business. You see, oh, they have a customer service issue. I better check with Susan or the admin and say, what's going on with this? Am I going to be reaching out to a really frustrated client? Right? You can be better prepared because everyone has view to this real-time information in the system. We can then look at the company record specifically. I can look at the opportunities, all of the opportunities in the system. He actually has a lot here, and I can look at them either from the one ones. I can see what they've recently placed orders on and see them in the system as well. So I have a lot of flexibility here. Maybe they want to do a new price, a new quote. We can do that as well in the system. We have a lot of flexibility around being able to do that. Maybe they want to just call. Let's just say the scenario is Ron calls and says, hey, I need to check inventory. You go to his record, you go to item inventory. When I click on item inventory, it's going to give me all the inventory in the accounting system, and I can search by item. And Ron says, hey, I need to see if you have this fluorescent desk lamp, A11030. Yep, we've got it. We've got 1,700 on order or available for sale. Would you like to place an order? Yes, I would. Do you need a quote, or you just want to place the order? No, we just want to place the order. Great. Click on new order. It's literally going to open up an opportunity. It's going to open up an order screen from Sage 300. It's going to allow me to go through and have that line item already on the order. And how many do you want to order, Ron? I actually want to order 10. Great. There's your 10. I can scroll down. I can refresh my total and tell them, hey, your total is going to be $649.39. Do you need anything else? Oh, yeah, I need another, I need a bulb. So, okay, you need 10 bulbs for that? Yep, I want to have 10 replacements just on hand. Great. There's your 10 bulbs. Refresh your total. Now your total is $726.25. That's great. You can put a comment in. And then at that point, My order number is 76. All I have to do is click on save. What did that do? That saved that order where? Not in CRM, but in the accounting system. Okay, so if I go over to the accounting system now and I load Sage 300, I can actually go into order entry, right? So I'm going to go into my sample company Inc., go into my right date here, 06/30/2020, hit enter, and I can go into my visual process flows and go to OE. And when I go into the visual process flow, I could have gone into order entry, but I like visual process flow, so I use that. When I go here, I can go in and find my order. So I can say order number starts with contains, was it contain 86? Was it 86? Oops, sorry. Contains, it was 76. There's my order 76, just put in today, select it, there's my order. So the second that order was posted by the salesperson in CRM, it's immediately available here. Okay, now let's go back to CRM for a second. Inside of CRM, it created an opportunity. I can make that a favorite. I can go to summary. When I go to summary, look at this. There's no quote. I didn't do a quote. There's no pending amount because I didn't do a quote. The order's actually been placed, 7/26/25, immediately available in the system. I can now say proposal's been submitted. I can set the search detail 100%. The amount's going to be correct. I can put a tracking note in. As a salesperson, updating my opportunity, saying where's this actual at, and there's my information, which now flows into my pipeline for my forecasting, for all of my activity from a salesperson's perspective in the system. Now let's go back to the accounting system for a second. So I'm going to come back to 300, go into my order, and let's just say ship all, okay, and then post. So now that's taking that order. It's posted that. I don't need to print it. You guys know what your forms look like. And that order has now been shipped. So now I have all that shipped in the system. If I close that, come back to CRM and refresh this opportunity, look at what happens. The order amount goes to 0 and the shipment amount increases immediately. So what does that mean? That means if the salesperson starts the order in CRM, pushes it to the accounting system and or quote, okay, pushes it to the accounting system, I then have the ability to say that it's been shipped from the accounting system, because when I posted that transaction in the accounting system, it updated the opportunity in CRM. So therefore, I can use CRM's notifications, which is a part of the product, to notify the salesperson on this opportunity that that order's been shipped by simply monitoring this value to be greater than 0. I can notify them when the order's changed from a quote to an order. I can notify them when it's actually been invoiced. So the salesperson doesn't ever have to come back in here and check this. We can actually set it up so they're automatically notified. Very easy to do. And if they don't want to be notified on every order, they can just put a checkbox in here, notify me when this is shipped, and we'll monitor for that value. Notify only when this is checked. Easy peasy. All of that's down to configuration and set up in the system. Now, let's just say we don't have it in the opportunity. Maybe it's put straight into the accounting system. That's fine. If it's not in an opportunity because it didn't start in CRM, maybe it started on your Sage e-commerce site. Maybe it started wherever you want it to start. Well, you can actually go into the OE inquiry and look at all of the orders in the customer history in real time. So there's all my orders in the system. Now, I want to include completed ones. And I can hit filter, and now I can look at all the orders in the system that are completed. I have lots of quotes, so I can go to my next page. I can sort by different values here if I want to. So there's my order 71. If I go down, I can see there's my 70s in the system. So I have access to all of these orders in the system as they get posted, and I can see them from here, and I can search by these different values if I want to. Now I can go back to the menu. I can see their sales history, what they purchased from us. This is a screenshot of, this is what I showed you as a screenshot. So I need to go forward into my demo data. So I need to move this forward a little bit and then hit filter. And now I have access to my actual sales history, which you saw a screenshot of. As I mentioned before, I can actually click into period 6 and actually see that invoice that was sold against and what order that originally came from. And I can drill into that even further as well. So as you can see, you have lots of information, you have lots of access to data in the system. Well, let's just say we get an email from the customer. Well, we can have an appointment, so I can go to my calendar. I can have appointments on my calendar. I can see those appointments in CRM. So if I have the appointment, I'm logged in as Susan, not as admin right now. So any appointments that would come from CRM would come here in my calendar. But let's say I get an email from my customer, Simon the Altoy. Well, Simon sent me an email. I can reply to that email. Just hit reply all. Hi, Simon. Here are the price details you are asking about. And this is from Susan. Now, I can attach a file here from CRM, from the add-ins. I can attach a shared file here from our global document library, so I can attach the pricing, brochure, pamphlet, collateral. I can also choose to send and file this, and it'll send that email and allow me to file it into CRM. So I can make this a little bit bigger. Whoops, did it the wrong way. There you go. So I can file it against a specific opportunity if I want to. I can just hit file and follow or file the email. I'll file that email. It's going to file that email. That email's now been filed into CRM and at the same time been sent to Simon, my customer. So if I hit send and receive here, you can now see in my inbox for Simon, there's the email from Susan, and I know that's been filed. Let's say I forgot to file it. As Susan, I can go back to my sent folder and go into the CRM plugin and simply hit file email and file it at a later date. Up to you on how that happens. The last thing here is your contacts. So you can have Simon as a contact. If I go to CRM here, you can see it doesn't say add contact because Simon's already a contact. You can have personal contacts in Outlook. You can have work contacts in Outlook. You choose which contacts go from Outlook to CRM and from CRM to Outlook. It's fully bidirectional. You also have the ability to see your to-dos, your tasks, and this is bidirectional as well. You complete it here, it completes it in CRM. You create it in CRM, it pushes it to Outlook for you. Just like your emails here, you can have emails that come in that you don't want to file. You choose which ones file into CRM automatically. You choose it by clicking on the button. You don't have to file the emails you don't need to file. Okay. So if we go back to our presentation deck here, so the last few things we want to talk about is some of the other core CRM things that we do offer as part of the product. One of them is social media integration. We do have Facebook integration. We do have LinkedIn. We do have a Twitter integration. All of these are options that we do offer with the product. They're available as free add-ons from the Sage CRM community site, which William and the team from Caron has access to. We also offer MailChimp integration. I wanted to add this just so that customers are aware that in the social media world, we do have a MailChimp integration that's available where you have the ability to have a specific set of features. We actually give you this for free. The integration's for free. And MailChimp actually gives you, if you subscribe to their account, you can have up to 2,000 subscribers and you can send for free 12,000 emails a month to those 2,000 subscribers. So if you only have 500 customers, you can actually use their free version. And their integration that we built is rather robust. It takes 2 fields to populate the integration. You build a master list in MailChimp, you pull 2 IDs from MailChimp, your account ID and your list ID, put them in CRM, and then you're linked together. You can create campaigns from CRM. You can create groups in CRM. You push the campaign to CRM. You push the group to CRM, and then you're to MailChimp, excuse me. And then you're able to build marketing events in MailChimp and send that email out. And then as a result of that, come back in. It synchronizes that activity into CRM, so you can go to the campaign, see who's opened it. Maybe 5 people have opened it. You can click on that and actually open up and say, let me see those 5 people, and then create a campaign or a group based on those 5 people that have opened that email. So you have a lot of flexibility with this tool. It's a really nice tool. It's one of the tools that was our highest request from our customer base of an integration. So this is the integration we provide for a MailChimp, a mail client type functionality. So where do I start with the CRM solution? Well, you can actually start with the free tool. You can start with installing the CRM product, turning the integration on, and using that one free user and looking at the accounting integration between your customer data and your vendor data and see how easy it is to have access to that. And think about it from a perspective of, Who asks me in an accounting context for information on a daily basis? Well, customer service asks me about orders. Salespeople ask me about customer information. My CEO asks me information all the time. A lot of the information you're being asked for from an accounting perspective is actually just readily available inside of CRM, which makes your job from an accounting perspective much easier, but it also enables your staff across the organization, from sales, customer service, marketing, executives, to have access to the information they need from the accounting system without actually being able to alter that data, unless you give them specific permissions to be able to do that. So it really comes down to also, where are your biggest issues, right? In addition to basic CRM, where are some of your biggest issues? Spreadsheets, tracking calls, tracking email, manual report, reconciliations, rekeying data. These are the next drivers, right? Most people, it's just access to information, and then what can we do beyond that? What can we do to eliminate your manual spreadsheets? What can we do to track those calls, those phone conversations? What can we do to better track your email communications? What can we do to help you with better reporting? Right? What data do we need to capture? These are all the kind of drivers that manual processes hinder organizations. So at the end of the day, CRM is designed for small and medium businesses. Remember, you get one CRM user for free. It's available as part of the product, and you have access to this product today. All you have to do is reach out to the team at Caron, and they'll be glad to talk you through the process of your investment in getting it installed and set up and configured in your organization. So this is kind of a snapshot of some of our customers that use the solution, from manufacturing companies to telecommunications companies to government entities to distribution companies to the Second Cup, for example, for selling coffee. So in summary, CRM is an incredibly productive tool. It truly enhances visibility to customer information, vendor information, or any other data you might need. It improves customer service. We've had significant improvement in customer service, 60% gain in efficiency by using a tool that makes your staff's job easier. So these are just some of the examples of where we found benefit and return on investment from our customers. So CRM does allow you to harness a lot of power, including sales, marketing, customer service, visibility to profitability by customer, pitching new products because you have visibility to what they purchased previously and saying, hey, we see you've got this, maybe you want to buy that again. All of that information is available in the solution. So with the last few minutes here, what are some of the next steps and what questions you might have? I was just going to see if William, if anyone has any questions. I believe you were saying that they could put that in the chat window. William, are you muted there?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yep.
Okay. So I was just saying, wow, what a fantastic presentation. I'll try to unmute everyone. I clicked the button so you can ask questions. Some people have sent in some questions already. So I'll just, there's one question here that says, can Sage CRM be customized?
Yes, absolutely. So there's multiple levels of customization available within the product. So Sage CRM can actually be as simple as, I want to add a field. I want to track this one piece of data. I want to track maybe the type of industry they're in. Maybe our list isn't specific enough. Maybe there's some unique value that you need to know about that record with your sales distribution company. Whatever that piece of data is, we can track that all the way up to adding new entities and extending the product, like I was talking about adding a trip. That's adding a new table to the system. So it's certainly very, I like to say configurable, all the way up to modification. Configurable meaning just screen. I don't have to be a developer to do that. I can add a table. I can add fields to that table. I can put those tables on screens. I can link them to other tables. This is where you start getting into the true power of the product. Great question.
There's also another question. They want to know if it's possible for them to build their sales process which is apparently unique to them, into Sage CRM, so it doesn't follow a standard sales process. Is it
Right.
possible to build that in?
Absolutely. So when I was going through the process over on the right, when I was creating that opportunity and updating the opportunity for my pipeline and saying I reassigned it in a lead and then I actually updated my forecast value on that opportunity, that is a process, and your organization can define what your sales process is. When I implemented Sage CRM for Sage internally in our sales team for the mid-market, we actually had a very specific sales process that our staff had to follow. I was able to implement that in CRM, and that allowed them to make their forecasting more consistent, their reporting more consistent, because if they said sales qualified, that meant something. That the sales executives defined sales qualified mean these 5 things. And when you click on sales qualified, you mean those 5 things. And we were able to tailor the CRM system to be that specific so that their forecasting and their reporting fell out from a result of them just doing the proper clicking.
Great. We have, this might be a tough one, Rob. Is it possible to do forecasting with Sage CRM?
So you can do sales forecasting for sure, because you would actually have your opportunities of what orders you have coming into the system. Just like what I was talking about with the opportunity, where I updated that opportunity to say the certainty is 100% and the order amount equaled the forecast amount. Because I set that to 100%, and when I finally say the sell has been shipped, I can actually say sell agreed at that point. I can actually have that roll into my forecast for that period and show that I've already got sales in the door. So yes, you certainly can use our forecasting tool to help forecast, especially from a sales perspective. If we take that to the next level, you can actually take CRM sales forecast, roll that into your budgeting tool, something like Sage Budgeting and Planning, and be able to use the forecast that sales is predicting along with your projected sales that you're expecting from an organizational planning perspective, and then compare that versus actual versus projection versus forecast. Right? So you have a lot of flexibility and a lot of ways of being able to report on that data using something like Sage Intelligence or Sage Enterprise Intelligence. All bring all that data together. Great. Thanks, William. Any other questions?
Here's a question here. They said they saw the attachment of emails. They were wondering, could you attach documents so that if I'm going to a meeting and I need to find documents, I can find it easily. So can you attach documents
So
to
2
a
things.
contact? Or?
Oh, absolutely. So 2 things. You can actually attach a document in multiple places. So I could be on the opportunity, and maybe it's a proposal that we've written up in Excel because maybe it's super complicated. It's not just a quote. It's actually a formal contract. You can actually attach that contract to the opportunity. And at that point, it also becomes related to the company, the person that it's on, and the user that did the attachment. So we can see that one attachment in 5 different places inside of CRM by doing that link once. And if you actually get a contract signed in an email, you can actually file that email against the opportunity, and the attachment would go against the opportunity, against the user of CRM, and against the company and person that the opportunity is related to. Great question.
Okay. Does anyone else have any more questions? Well, Rob, I don't see any more questions. So what I'd like to do is, again, thank you very much. On the screen, you see a contact for Michael Caron, who is responsible for our CRM systems, installing and making sure that you get access to CRM. And if you have any needs for CRM, please don't hesitate to give him a call, or just call our general number and ask for him. Again, I'd like to thank you for doing this session. I see here you have on the screen that we have some additional resources where you can get information. If you want to get this and you don't have time to copy it down, this session is being recorded and we'll post it, or you just contact any one of us and we'll be more than happy to send that information to you. Again, we look forward to doing more sessions, more Wednesdays with William. And if you have any needs, anything that you would like to learn about, don't hesitate to contact us.